It should be a promising season for the Seattle Seahawks in 2023, in large part because of the work that John Schneider and Pete Carroll have done to assemble this roster entering this season. On today's show, we're going to go piece by piece throughout the roster and break it down for how things stack up for the Seahawks in 2023. Before we do that, though, quick survey question. Of all the players in the 53-man roster for your Seattle Seahawks, who is the best player this season? Not who your favorite is, but who is the best player? I want to know. Chime in. Let me know in the comment section who that player is. Let's start with the quarterbacks, Geno Smith and Drew Lock. And Geno Smith, this is a guy that I think is going to take another step forward in 2023. I mean, you look at Geno Smith and the talent is there. The decision-making is there. The next step for him is not turning over the football, cutting back on those turnovers, and Geno Smith, I think, is going to be dynamic once again. His backup, Drew Lock, showed some promise in the preseason that he's more than capable. If something were to happen to Geno Smith, an injury or whatever it may be, that he can step up into that role and he can lead this team, and this offense could still roll the same as if Geno were in there. So the quarterback position stacks up pretty well for this Seahawks team. The backfield for the Seahawks, this run game is going to be dynamic. I mean, as much as we talk about the passing game with Geno and these receivers with Lockett and DK and JSN, it still starts with the run game. The Seahawks are a run-first football team. They run the football to establish things, to open up the passing game. And Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are going to be a fantastic 1-2 punch. DeeJay Dallas is a pretty decent receiver out of the backfield, as is Kenny McIntosh. And then Nick Bellore, he is a great team guy. Whether he's playing fullback or linebacker, whatever it may be, Nick Bellore is great to have around. That backfield is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And history tells us, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, that the injuries happen. Okay, we've already seen it this year. And I know there was people questioning, why are you spending a second-round pick on Zach Charbonnet when you just drafted running back in the second round last year? The Seahawks will use their running backs. I can tell you that much. It's going to happen for Seattle in 2023. They're going to need all of them as far as I'm concerned. The wide receiver position for the Seahawks. What a fun group this is. Last year, beyond DK and Tyler, there was a major hole with this group. And now you add in JSN, who was really good throughout the offseason and in the preseason. He comes back from injury. He's going to be a contender for Rookie of the Year, and he's got a bright future ahead. Jake Bobo was a star in the preseason, and although he's not the fastest guy, he does a really good job of getting open, runs good routes. He's going to be your number 4 receiver. Young and Thompson, not bad either, and then some of your other practice squad players as well in the mix for playing time. Potentially, you could call up Cade Johnson and Aesop Winston. Seahawks have depth at the receiver position that they haven't had before. And other than maybe the Cincinnati Bengals, you could argue the Seahawks might have the best receiver room in the entire NFL. That's how good this group is, folks. Credit to Schneider and Pete Carroll for the effort they did to put this roster and stack it up the way they did. This group's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and the Seahawks are really going to be able to open up in space. The tight end room. You don't have a great tight end, but you have a couple of good tight ends. Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson. Those guys can get the job done. You're probably not going to see a 150-yard game from any of these three. None of them are Travis Kelce or, Mark Andrews, those types. But they're very solid. And I think you're going to see that from these three this year once again. Their future's in question after this year, but at least for now, you got a good group there with those three. The offensive line. The offensive line, you get another year older at the tackle spots with Cross and Lucas. Lucas actually outplayed Charles Cross last year, but I think both of them are going to be very good, taking a step forward. Lewis and Haynes at your guard spots. They do have some young cats behind them. We'll get to that here in just a second. But Evan Brown looks like he will win the center job, and I think that you're going to see improvement in that interior of the offensive line. The Seahawks are going to do a better job of running the football there in the middle with those guys leading the way. The other cats on this offensive line, Olu Oluwatimi was in contention to be the starting center, but unfortunately dealt with some injuries there. If something happens to Evan Brown, look out for Olu to potentially get his shot. He was the best center in college football last year. Jake and Stone have been reliable as swing tackles. I would expect them to be good potential options if need be, if the Seahawks need to turn to them. And then Anthony Bradford. Anthony Bradford, I think, is going to be with the Seahawks for a long time. Eventually, he'll work his way into the starting lineup. Might not be till next year. But Anthony Bradford is making significant progress. He's going to be a nice addition for this Seahawks team. Let's talk defense now for Seattle. And that is where we find Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, Cam Young, Mario Edwards, Mike Morris, and Miles Adams. And here's the thing. When you look at this defensive line, Draymond Jones is going to be kind of the face of the defensive line. I expect a huge year from Draymond Jones to be a Pro Bowl caliber. Jaron Reed, as much as I like the addition, I am concerned about how well he'll hold up at nose tackle. I think you might need some more options potentially. Cam Young, no pun intended, is still very young. Mario Edwards, Mike Morris, Miles Adams at those defensive end spots. I think that the thing for me, when I look at this defensive line, and you can add in the edge rushers to this as well, the issue for this Seattle Seahawks team is not getting to the quarterback. They got guys that can get to the quarterback that are good pass rushers. But the run defense, although it's greatly improved from what it was in 2022, it's still an issue. And they made some nice additions, bringing in Draymond Jones and Jaron Reed and those guys, but they still have a ways to go. When you face guys like Christian McCaffrey this season and Derrick Henry and others, Saquon Barkley, who we'll see this year, it could be a long day facing those running backs with who you have to offer, which are just not great run defenders right now. Be honest with me. What is your biggest concern about Seattle entering 2023? You know mine. It's the run defense. What's yours? Be honest. Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what your biggest concern is for Seattle entering 2023. Now, this season, you'll be seeing your Seattle Seahawks, your favorite players, coaches, personnel staff. They're going to be wearing these sideline hats all throughout the season in different shapes and sizes and varieties. There's a lot of different ways that you're going to see some of your favorite Seahawks go. And we have the throwback style. We have the ball cap with the current logo, the flat bill. And there's many more options besides just what you're seeing on your screen here. Go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. You can have one of these very hats. It can be yours today while supplies last. And there's plenty more out there. So if you want to see more than what we have here, check it out. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats to get yours today, right in time for football season as well. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks hats to get yours now. Outside linebacker. Levi Bell ended up getting a spot in the practice squad. But if he gets elevated at some point, man, you're talking about some serious depth here. I mean, Boye Mafe, Pete Carroll called the most improved player this offseason, and a well-rounded outside linebacker. That's the difference between him and Darrell Taylor. Darrell Taylor can get to the quarterback, but he can't stop the run. You're not going to drop him in coverage. Boye Mafe can do everything. Uchenna Nwosu, I think, is going to have another good year. I know the frauds at Bleacher Report were trying to say that he's going to be a bust and a disappointment. I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. Uchenna is going to be really good. Darrell Taylor, I'm more than okay with him being a rotational backup piece. I mean, think about this. Last year he only started 3 games and still had 9+ sacks. Derek Hall, he and Boye got that thunder and lightning thing going on. Derek Hall should have a nice rookie campaign. Don't sleep on Tyreek Smith either. Played really good in that second preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. More of that, plays Tyreek Smith. The inside linebacker position. Man, what a nice overhaul this group had. Jordan Brooks is back after 8 months. 8 months removed from a torn ACL. Who would have thought? Incredible job by Jordan Brooks to make it back the way he did. Bobby Wagner, of course, has made his return to Seattle, and he has not slowed down at all. More on him in just a second. Devin Bush has actually looked pretty good. And, you know, he was a bit of a project, a bit of a gamble, because he's gotten worse every year from his first year in Pittsburgh as a rookie. John Radigan's still there, and then Drake Thomas part of the equation, just recently acquired from the Las Vegas Raiders. And this was a guy that was one of the top tacklers in the preseason for the Raiders, undrafted out of NC State. Very fascinating, Drake Thomas, what he brings to the table. But I look at this. I think the return of Bobby Wagner cannot be overemphasized. I know we've talked a lot about Bobby on this channel, but we might still have not talked about him enough and what he's going to bring to this team. Not just the leadership qualities, not just being the green dot and all that, but Bobby is terrific in pass coverage. He does everything that you could ask for from an inside linebacker. And, one of the misconceptions that's been out there with Bobby Wagner that I keep having to say all the time, people talk about Bobby and they say, oh, yeah, we hope he has a bounce-back year. He's comeback player of the year, whatever it may be. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, what the hell are you talking about? Just because Bobby left Seattle didn't mean all of a sudden he sucked. He went to L.A. last year and was still arguably the best player at his position. He was incredible last year. New scheme, new team, didn't matter. Bobby was great. I think it's going to be great again for Seattle this year. And you get all the feels with Bobby making his comeback, right? What's your favorite Bobby Wagner memory from over the years? Weigh in the comments section. I know there's a lot to choose from. Let me know what your favorite Bobby Wagner memory is. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be with you all season long here on Seahawks Today. Our watch parties, me and Smitty, we're going to have a hell of a time. You better believe it. Got our live shows on Wednesdays, daily news and rumors. If you are a real member of the 12s, if you're an actual Seahawks fan, then you got to subscribe to the channel. Prove it right now. I dare you. I triple dog dare you to subscribe to Seahawks Today. For the latest happenings on your favorite team, for the best place for Seahawks fans, this is the channel to be. Subscribe now, youtube.com/SeahawksTV, and never miss a moment here on the channel. To the corner position, and the Seahawks, I think this group is going to be a lot of fun. Mike Jackson and Reek Woolen are going to be your starting outside corners. Devin Witherspoon's going to be a nickel back, but obviously he's more than capable of being a starting outside corner. Kobe Bryant, wherever they put him, whether he's playing corner or playing safety, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Led the Seahawks in forced fumbles last year. Then you got Trey Brown, who had a terrific preseason. Started a few games as a rookie out of Oklahoma there, and he's fully healthy after missing most of last year. And now you bring in Kyu Blue Kelly from the Baltimore Ravens, who was a fifth-round pick out of Stanford. You basically got a free fifth-round pick bringing him in. I love the addition. Upgrade from Artie Burns. What's fascinating is, and Kyu Blue Kelly fits into this equation as well, this is, for the most part, an entire position group that is all young, around the same age, and they're going to grow up together, okay? And not only just that, are these guys basically starting their careers all pretty much at the same time, but they're going to define this defense, not just this year, not just next year, but for years to come. The calling card for the Seattle Seahawks defense is going to be this core of corners. Okay, it is going to be something else. We are watching it before our very eyes. And folks, it's a beautiful thing. The safety position, it's stacked as well. Jamal Adams is back, and he's healthy. He's ready to go. Quandre Diggs coming off a Pro Bowl campaign. Julian Love you bring over from the New York Football Giants. You'll see all three of them on the field at the same time. I'm very high on Jarek Reed, who the Seahawks brought in the sixth round from New Mexico. I think he'll get a significant amount of playing time. Watch out for him. Very good group. Special teams, Myers and Dixon, good 1-2 punch at the kicker and punter spot. And one of the newest members of the Seattle Seahawks, Chris Stoll, was the best long snapper in college football at Penn State last year. I don't even know how they measure that, but apparently they liked what they saw from Chris Stoll. It's a good special teams group. So that's the entire roster for your Seattle Seahawks. How would you grade it? What do you think of the Seahawks entering 2023? Put a grade on it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. And let us know in the comment section what your grade is for this group entering 2023. Hit me up on Twitter for more Seahawks coverage at Tyler Jones Live. You can follow me there. And I'll see you next time right here on the channel. Thanks for joining.